welcome back to episode 2. Thanks be away, Thay. Good morning, sir. I greeted him. Thay, today is your big day. Congratulations in advance. Jungkook didn't respond, taking a sip of his coffee instantly. This is to officially inform you that your room is now ready. I have also placed your bag in the closet. I did. JK grabbed a cookie, dipping it into the coffee before taking a bite. The sight of Jungkook lying on my bed unbothered made him look like a guest enjoying a five-star hotel stay. Hey, shouldn't you be preparing for the celebration? I asked. JK, well, shouldn't you? He returned the question back to me with a smirk. I bit my tongue, refusing to rise to his bed. They, I believe you would be more uncomfortable in your own room, sir, I said. Yeah, I believe you would be more comfortable in your room, sir, I said, and he smiled. Let's see if Jackie can read between the lines. Why can't he just enjoy his coffee in his room? Jackie crossed his arm, his brows frowning. Jackie, and what's wrong with spending time here? I stared at his outfit. Jungkook didn't change his clothes the last night I saw him there. Nothing, sir, I said, keeping my tone measured, but in my head a sarcastic voice muttered, if you like it so much, why don't you switch your rooms permanently? Jungkook didn't budge. Instead, Jackie grabbed another cookie and chewed it with influencing nonchalance. With Jungkook, you could never tell what's lie. Message might be brewing in his mind, but I knew this was just another tactic to get under my skin. It was becoming clear that this was one of his habits Jungkook never outgrew. But I paused my lips there. I need to take a bath and change into my uniform, so I said, trying to sound polite. JK, well, that's what's stopping you? He asked between bites. His tone was casual as ever. My forced smile almost cracked his. This man could try the patience of a saint. Gathering my towel and uniform, I decided I would change in the shower to avoid any further confrontation. I saw Jungkook observing me. Okay, seriously, you are going to change your clothes in the shower? They, yes, sir. I replied evenly. They, I believe it would be improper to undress in front of you while you are eating. Jungkook almost shook on hit the cookie. He is eating JK coughed for a while and slipped his coffee to clear his throat. JK nearly choked on his cookie, coughing and hastily sipping his coffee to recover. JK, it's not a problem for me, he muttered. His voice hoarse, JK, but if it makes you feel better. I hesitated, my mind racing with worst case scenario. What if JK took my clothes as a prank? Surely Jungkook was too old for that now. Right, reluctantly I placed my uniform on the chair near my desk and stepped into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. Let's see if I can trust Jungkook this time. I quickly showered and slipped into my robe before opening the door. True to his word, Jungkook was gone, leaving behind only the empty coffee cup. My clothes were untouched. Still, I scanned the room cautiously, even checking under the bed and in the closet for good measure. Despite, I locked the door and began to dress. Halfway through pulling on my underwear, a knock startled me, and I stumbled, hitting the floor with a loud thud. JK, hey, are you alright? Jungkook's voice called from the other side of the door. They don't come in, I yelled hastily, zipping my pants. They, I'm fine. Once dressed, I opened the door, finding Jungkook standing there with a curious expression. Tae, yes, how may I help you? I asked almost out of breath. Jackie, what happened? He asked, his eyes narrowing. Tae, attribute, that's all I said, trying to dismiss the incident. Jungkook looked unsatisfied with my answer but intimately dismissed any more inquiries. JK, I think I left my phone here, he said, stepping past me into the room. Jungkook began rummaging through my bed, yanking the blanket back with unnecessary force until a faint thought broke the silence. His phone had fallen on the floor. Picking it up, Jungkook inspected it for any damage, and once satisfied, his gaze shifted to me. JK looked over me from head to toe, his expression unreadable. Your flash open, he said, smirking. I left myself flusher. With same and I quickly zipped up my pant, causing under my breath. Clearing my throat, I tried to regain some composure. Thank you for pointing that out, sir. He smirked within, clearly enjoying my embarrassment. I decided to change the subject. What would you like for the breakfast? JK, whatever on the menu, that's all. That's light, Jungkook replied casually before leaving the room, his satisfied grin the last thing I saw. Let out a long sigh, already dreading what the rest of the day might bring. I picked up the vest from the stand, adjusting it carefully, and made myself presentable before stepping out of the room. As I pressed through the hallway on my way to the family room, I noticed Jungkook's shoes scattered carelessly on the floor. Typical. I sighed, bent down to pick them up, and placed them neatly beside the large decorative vase. When I entered the kitchen, Mrs. Min was already there, whisking a bowl of butter with taste easy. Mrs. Min was the head of the housekeeping department and one of the oldest staff members who had been working for the jeons for decades. Min, what would Cookie want to eat today? She asked, not bothering to look up as she continued whisking. I tied an apron around my waist and decided to help while we chatted about the upcoming party. There's something light, he said, nothing specific. Hey, Jinne, I began, using her first name as she always insisted. When did Jungkook start looking like that? She stopped whisking and raised an eyebrow at me. Mean, what do you mean? How do I put this delicately? Like a jacked up male model, I replied, trying to. I think haven't you seen his socials? Jungkook doesn't post much, but sometimes people tag him in photos. Man, you really should create one, she said with a teasing smile, then as if it were the most obvious thing in the world, she added, Man, he asks about you. Sometimes I stop it chopping tomatoes, Miss Lies. Who does? Men, Jungkook, she replied, her tone matter of fact. That can't be right. Jungkook never called me in front in the past 5 years, and yesterday was the first time we would see each other since I left for the college. Really? I asked, genuinely curious. Men, yes, she said, nodding firmly. Men, he would ask if you were doing well and or what you were up to. You're friends with him, right? You practically grew up together. I felt a flush of embarrassment. Yes, we did. I muttered. If what she said was true. Maybe Jungkook saw me as a friend after all. I would assume JK regarded me as just another one of the family's employees. Pushing the thought aside, I refocused on helping with breakfast. After breakfast, Jungkook spent most of the day locked in his room. By noon, Mr. and Mrs. Jeon returned from their trip, and the rest of the day passed in a blur and for the preparation for the evening's celebration. By 7, the dinner party was in full swing, complete and with living music and entertainment from the host. I was busy serving drinks when Mrs. Jeon approached me. Her expression a mix of concern and frustrated. Mrs. Yan, the party is already started and Jungkook is nowhere to be found. She sounded a little bit stressed. Mrs. Yan, would you please see? When I reached Jungkook's room, the door was closed. I knocked and called out, "Hey, sir, the celebration began a few moments ago. Your mother is already looking for you." No response. "Hey, sir," I tried again, louder. This time, still nothing. Done it. If Jungkook didn't show up, I knew it would be one. I would be one held responsible for the missing celebrant. Without waiting for his permission, I opened the door only to find out that Jungkook is already dressed but is currently lying on his bed busy with his phone. I cleared my throat to get his attention. "JK, what?" Jungkook finally said. "Hey, you are missing out on your own graduation party," I said, trying to keep the irritation out of my voice. Jungkook scoffed. "JK, I didn't even want a graduation party." I strode over and snatched the phone from his hand, ignoring his glare. "Hey, yes, but your parents are proud of you. At least have the decency to act like you wanted it." I placed the phone on the table and tugged Jungkook upright, ignoring his resistance. As I straightened his clothes, I couldn't help but notice how firm. Ignoring his intakes, I asked Jungkook, "Hey, where is your tie?" JK pointed at the nearby chair and I retrieved it, wrapping it around his neck to tie. It's a knot. As I walked, I catch the faint accent of his cologne, the same one that had lingered on my bed. "JK, you are enjoying it. This, aren't you?" Jungkook said suddenly, his voice tinged with amusement. I gave a confused stare. "Hey, what?" "JK, come on, it's obvious." Jungkook held my hand, stopping me. "It not." "JK, you find me attractive." I look up and squint at Jungkook. The audacity of this guy. "Hey, I'm sorry, sir, but I will have to say no." Jerked my hands away and finished tying the knot, adjusting his collar with a firm hand. Before I could step back, Jungkook tightened my chin up, and with his fingers, his face were inches from mine. His breath brushed against my skin, and his sly smile only made the moment more unsettling. JK admitted. Jungkook whispered, "JK, you have got a little crush on me. Look at yourself, blushing like a what?" Jungkook's intense gaze made my heart race, but I couldn't tell if Jungkook was. "Mrs. Jian, Jungkook, darling, what's taking you so long?" Mrs. Jian's voice called from the hallway. God only knows how she would have reacted if she would She had walked in to find our faces just inches apart. Jungkook shrugged nonchalantly as if nothing happened before his mother entered the room. JK, nothing. I am all set. Taehyung helps me dress. He grabbed his jacket and followed her out without another word. I let out a long breath before losing my time. My throat felt and Jungkook and his ridiculous jokes. After composing myself, I returned to the reception, putting one on the natural face. Man, everything all right, dear? Jinny asked as I passed by. They, yes, I'm fine. Why do you ask? They, yes, I'm fine. I replied quickly. She studies me for a moment, concerned across her face. Man, you look like you have seen a ghost. I forced a smile. This is just my natural face, I said, hoping to convince her. Her skepticism lingered, but I turned my attention to the outdoor stage where Jungkook stood with his parents. Watching them, I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. Their family looked so complete, so happy. Meanwhile, I had spent my life without knowing my father and losing my mother far too soon. I never knew my father nor any other family members, if I even have any left. My mother was all I had, and now she had gone. As I grew up, I pieced together her story. She got pregnant at a young age, forced the same and disappointment brought on her family led to her being disowned with no support from her parents left to fend from herself. She worked odd jobs to raise me until she was hired as a live-in housekeeper at the jeon estate. Thankfully, they allowed her to bring me along. She never told me any of this out straight, but not even before she passed away. But I would overhear bits and pieces of conversations she had with her co-workers. At the time, I didn't care much about their gossip, but as I got older, those fragments of dialogue started to paint a clearer picture of her struggles and my origins. I don't have a social media account, which is probably why I barely recognize Jungkook when he came home. I usually excuse it by saying my phone is broken, but the truth is I have never felt the need to create one, even though I have an access to a laptop for work. I know there is no point in signing up. I tried once but deleted the account almost immediately when I realized I had no one, no family, no real close friends, just people I encounter from day to day. Felt myself feeling emotional and sick that I decided to take a break, leaving my tray on the nearby table. I slipped away to my favorite spot in the back garden, which is the wooden swing. I sat down, closed my eyes, and let the darkness and solitude soothe me. As at last I was away from the crowd and the noise of rich people's chatter. JK, what are you doing here? I almost jumped at the sound of Jungkook's voice, startled by the sudden appearance. There, nothing. I said quickly, my voice quivering. They just. Jungkook studies me, his gaze uncomfortably intense. JK, is something bothering you? I laughed nervously. No, why would you think that, JK? You look troubled when you left your post. How did Jungkook even notice that? I scratched my arm even though there was no itching. It's just something I do when I'm nervous. For some reason, Jungkook had a way of making me uneasy. I could never quite figure out what was going in his mind. Was Jungkook angry, concerned, disappointed, something? I'm fine. I just felt the need to sit down. Jungkook didn't seem convinced, but instead of pressing further, he sat down beside me. His eyes lingered on me as if Jungkook was scratching my thoughts, so I focused my gaze on the ground. No, the plane meant to escape his powerful eyes. The silence between us was heavy. Neither of us spoke. We just stared at bed of flowers and plants, which is barely even visible in the dark of light. The cold wooden chair suddenly felt warm with the presence of another, but it also made me feel like I was burning with the awkwardness of the encounter, unable to bear it any longer. I stood abruptly. I need to go back, I declared as the way of asking for his permission to leave. Without waiting for his response, I walked away, leaving Jungkook behind. The Jungkook I thought I know was long gone, replaced by someone unfamiliar and unreachable. If thanks be away, Mr. Jian Jungkook. Taehyung, would you come into my office, please? Mr. Jian called, and judging from the urgency of his voice, it was something of important. I set aside what I was doing, made my way directly to his office. When I opened the door, I found him seated behind his desk, with Mrs. Jian standing gracefully at his side. He gestured for me to sit one of the sofa chair in front of him. That's when I noticed Jungkook, but Mr. Jian, why do you think I called you both here? Mr. Jian asked, his eyes moving between us. JK, no idea, Jungkook mumbled, not bothering to look up. No, not a clue, sir. I answered politely. Mr. Jian turned his attention to his son. Mr. Jian, Jungkook, we have talked about this now that you have completed your studies. It's time you learn how to manage the family business. Your mother and I take this and effective Monday, I will no longer be the CEO of Jeon Group. I glanced at Jungkook, but his expression remained unreadable, blank, and serious. Mr. Jian, don't get your hopes up too quickly, Mr. Jian. Continue, Mr. Jian. I will be appointing you as vice president of it. Focusing on one of our oldest and most permanent corporations, this will be your training ground. Once you are gained the necessary experience, you will be branched out into our other industries. For now, Jian Youngi will serve as intern CEO, but when I see that and a Jungkook, a long reclined box, Mr. Jian considered this as a graduation gift. He said Jungkook opened the box, relieving an elegant nameplate engraved with his name and new title, Mr. Jian. Congratulations, Mr. Jian announced. Mr. Jian, you are now the official Vice President for Finance of Jian Group. Mr. Jian clapped enthusiastically and I nodded at Jungkook in acknowledgement. Mr. Jian Taehyung, Mr. Jian says, shifting his attention to me. Mr. Jian, you are probably wondering why I asked you to join us. Before I could respond, he handed me a well-worn black leather journal. Its size almost doubled by the sheer number of stick note tugging inside. Mr. John, this contains my schedule and appointments and tasks I can no longer handle personally. You will act as my son's temporary personal assistant while the secretary endorses all the work of my to my successor. Your role is to help Jungkook get acquainted with the plant, the process, and the employees to be continued. So everyone, what they think about this new turning as Jungkook is going to be here soon. I hope you will enjoy it and what they think about this Taekook's relationship. Okay, see you again in the next episode. Comment it down whatever you feel about it. Bye bye. Bye.